those blue jerseys.
That's professional. We keep it professional.
Okay, guys, we are live here with the second segment of Industry Leader for the day, and I'm excited to have my personal trainers on. Well, I work mostly with Liam. Jesse's kind of for moral support, and I do look forward to working out with Jesse at some point, hopefully. But these are the guys from TNT Strength and formerly TNT Fitness. Is that right?
Well, TNT stands for Truth Not Trends. So that was the elongated version. We're kind of rebranding to TNT Strength.
But the TNT still stands for the same stuff.
Okay, great. So these guys really have set a new standard for fitness in the Bay Area, I say, and well, he has Liam and Jesse have some of the testimonials to back that up. But I just know from working with them for almost like 8 months now, I believe that it's like no other experience that I've had in terms of fitness, in terms of the bang for the buck, so to speak, that I'm working out kind of for less time, but getting better results. And I think it's just I'm the strongest I've been in a long time, probably equal to the strongest I've been in my life. So it's a very results oriented, innovative and unique system that they have. And it's really something that I think developed out of Liam's lifetime of experience in the field. And he's really trained, UFC fighters, speed skaters, a championship woman boxer, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, police officers, all, really high performance athletes. And with that, I'm going to actually turn it over to you guys, because I want you to tell us about your story and what you have going with TNT Strength.
Sure. So this guy next to me has been my mentor for the last little over 4 years, and we met in a box gym here in Oakland. And I was just kind of trying to be a sponge, and he started hitting me with the facts and the research that changed my personal kind of fitness trajectory. And I was coming out of, a similar mindset that many people are with their fitness, which is thinking basically more is better. And I mean, just like with you, DK, he turned the tables on me, and I went from, working out like 4 to 6, lifting weights 4 to 6 times a week to training once or twice a week, and training much more briefly and intensely. And there was no looking back for me. I entered the training world. I was training a certain way, and then as I learned more from Liam, started training my clients that way. And then, flash forward to right now, here we are. We teamed up, and the podcast that was Truth Not Trends has now become the live in-person personal training studio that is TNT Strength. So very grateful for the journey that has brought us here, and grateful for this guy, Liam Bauer.
Liam, if you don't mind just telling us a little bit about you and your background, what you've achieved with your fitness training over the years, and who you've worked with, that type of thing.
Sure. I've been in the industry. This year is 33 years. So I started in the 80s, the end of the 80s. I was an athlete myself in college, and then started training fitness-wise, rehabbing some injuries back in the 80s in my college days. When I graduated, I wanted to find out more about fitness, and just by chance found myself in a place in the East Coast, Washington, D.C. area that was a gym run by Nautilus, specifically, Nautilus being a brand of strength training equipment that was developed in the 60s and 70s by a guy named Arthur Jones. So I was just sort of sheer luck, honestly, that I was indoctrinated into those methodologies, and transparently at the time, I didn't accept them immediately, because they were, again, counter to the mainstream approach that was being touted at the time, and it's still basically being pushed to this day. So it took me a little while to recognize the validity and the truth through my own experimentation. And along the way, I've just devoured all forms of information, probably got 12 different certifications at this point from all the different alphabet soup leaders in the industry, National Strength Conditioning Association, American Council on Exercise, American College of Sports Medicine, blah, 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 blah. And along the way, develop my own methods based on this information that I was gathering. And probably 10 years ago or more, I was trying to develop a concept of this truth, not trends idea, like the idea that in the industry, there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of incongruous information, a lot of contradictions. And I wanted my stuff to be non-contradictory and consistent, congruent in all the information that I would provide. So I strove to accomplish that. And I just stayed in the industry. I was writing. Again, as mentioned briefly, I've worked with all levels of people, but I spent a lot of time working with combat athletes for a while. So a lot of martial artists, jiu-jitsu guys, MMA guys, boxers. I worked with a lot of tactical officers, different types of police officers and things like that. But I've also worked with everybody else from kids to little old ladies, elite athletes, everyone along the way. And, there's information out there in the industry that's valid and supported by science and is legitimate and consistent and true. And there's a bunch of crap that's floats around, and most people can't decipher. They don't have the ability to think critically, and they can't decipher, and it's not their fault automatically. It all sounds valid in a bubble, right?
Especially when it's coming from a young, hot-bodied person.
Yeah, that's right, on Instagram. Luckily, in the beginning of my career, the internet didn't exist because I've been doing it a long time, so there wasn't all that stuff. And obviously, the advantages to the internet is you can information is at your fingertips, but the disadvantage of the internet is
bad information at your fingertips.
I heard a great analogy the other day, which was like comparing it to the library. When you go to the library, they're kind enough to separate the novels and the fiction areas, right? That you can go. I want to go to the nonfiction section, right? But on the internet, you don't know. There's nobody telling you which is fiction and which isn't. And if you don't have a critical ability to, background in something, it all sounds valid or possible. I could go on and on, but one of the biggest mistakes I think that's happening in the fitness industry is that people who don't know any better just assume that all fitness methodologies are of equal value. And that's a giant mistake that people make because it's not true. And so they waste a ton of time through no fault of their own, just going down all these incorrect paths where that lead to injury, or the worst case scenario, they hurt themselves. The best case scenario is they just waste a lot of time. And that happens a lot.
Yeah, I see that. And I see how a lot of people have been probably wasting a lot of time and energy now that I've started working with you guys. And I think what you've come up with from all that research is really a industry leading philosophy and series of techniques that, I say is kind of the best kept secret here in the East Bay Area fitness, and probably not so great kept anymore. But I think I'm an analyst, so I approach this as an analyst, but if you just give it a try, it's impressive what you can accomplish by working with you guys. And I think it also carries over to other parts of your life. And let's see if I can sum it up in a nutshell. It's really about not how long you work out, how many exercises you do, but it's how you do it, what you do, tracking those results, and it's the intensity of the workout. But you guys set up the system so really a half hour a day, 2 or a maximum of 3 times a week of that workout will deliver the results and the strength that maybe 5 or 6 days couldn't even deliver if you're doing it kind of this conventional wisdom, which is kind of more is better, which isn't really the case. And I think what's also very impressive is what that opens up for these high performance athletes. Say you're an MMA fighter, or maybe you're a soccer player, that you can actually train your sport the rest of the time and not give up anything in fitness. So I think what I see in these testimonials from folks who work with you is they break through these barriers that they've never been able to break through in terms of their fitness, and it carries over to what they do. We have testimonial number one from a police officer saying that he's in the best, fitness of his life, and he can be stronger for combat, or what he needs to do on the job. And he's looking forward to passing his physical with flying colors, and then another Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist. So you have these testimonials from folks who are already at the top of their field, so to speak, and then they're breaking through their barriers. So it's really, guys, you've been kind of taking these practices from working with the best of the best to being able to work with people like a single dad like myself and deliver me the best results that I've had in my life. So it's very exciting stuff. And, I just think there's not that many trainers, maybe 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 actually knows a fraction of what you guys have
Probably a lower
developed.
number than that.
Yeah. I think that, and true to the mark with what you said, Dave. With athletes, counterintuitively, you hit it on the head, right? Athletes specifically have a lot of stuff to do, and the more professional of an athlete you are, an NBA, MLB, NFL, there is a ton of skill stuff to do. There's tactical stuff, there's technical stuff, right? And the fitness, the most important thing for athletes for fitness is injury prevention, career longevity, right? Most of them are already elite for other reasons, genetically and so forth, right? They're there for a reason, but they want to protect themselves, but they don't have a lot of time. And so this style of training is actually the best for them because there's so many other things that require their attention. Now, for the general population like yourself, you hit it on the head as well. What's the number one reason people say that, they don't have time, right? And you're a busy single dad. And again, you've now realized you can accomplish your fitness goals in an hour a week instead of 4 or 5 hours a week, right? And that leaves you a lot more time to deal with your single dad duties as well as job, relationship, whatever else, right? Because we all have a lot of stuff on our plates.
Yep. Couldn't
Great.
have it better.
Jesse, and if you don't mind just telling us about your new news that I understand you opened up a physical location as well in North Oakland, and just tell us a little bit about that and what services you offer if there's somebody watching wondering, well, how can these guys help me?
Yeah, absolutely. So on April 1st, 2021, TNT Strength opened up our brick and mortar studio. So we're here at 5255 College Avenue in Oakland, California. You can see the Oakland poster behind me there. And it's a great place. We have a full line of Nautilus Nitro Plus equipment here. Very smooth. It will most likely be the smoothest equipment you've ever set your eyes and muscles and joints on. We also have several pieces of MedX equipment, which one of those major features is the MedX low back machine, which is we foresee many low back recoveries happening as a result of using that piece of equipment, there's been a lot of money and research poured into that to make sure it's the best lower back machine ever invented. And we currently, we're putting out this podcast on May 25th. And so right now we're still have some COVID measures. So we're just seeing one client at a time in the studio. Sessions are 30 minutes long. Most clients do somewhere between 8 and 12 exercises in a workout. So what happens is you come in for your workout, we're wearing masks, you're going to do one set to concentric muscular failure, and then you're going to move on to the next set. And so people tend to get about 8 to 12 exercises done. It's going to be very challenging from a muscular standpoint. It'll be challenging from an aerobic standpoint because in that 30-minute time frame, your probably heart and lungs are going to have to be working very hard, and that's what we do in a nutshell.
Yeah, and sorry for the long-winded explanation earlier of what sets you guys apart in terms of your unique philosophy. I did want to put it back to Liam to say, kind of in a nutshell, could you describe your fitness philosophy versus what you would say is the conventional wisdom?
Honestly, I often shy away from the whole philosophy word because it's more like a set of beliefs in some way. So we base what we're doing on science, and we're constantly looking at what does the current valid, reliable science say. And I've spent decades researching this stuff, and I've not found anything recently that is countering the theories that we've put together to create our protocols, based on all this stuff. And we're always on top of this stuff. Again, we're literally scouring it continuously. And I've been lucky enough to create and develop quite a network as well of high industry coaches, researchers, literally around the world, who are the tops in the field. And they're like a phone call or an email away from me. And I'm lucky to be able to say that some of them are actually good friends of mine. And so we literally can make a call or shoot out an email in an instant to find out, does something make sense? Does it not make sense? So even with my own experience, I still have people that I will go to if I want to corroborate, and make sure that I feel like I'm doing what I should be and doing it in the safest, most efficient way possible. But yeah, I mean, so that's what we're doing. So it's not necessarily, I try not to use that philosophy word. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's more, protocols, methods that are, again, based in reality, right?
If I can speak to that, Dave, if you've already been, hitting the gym and lifting weights for a while, the contrast that you might see with what you're most likely doing and what we do is our approach in general is a much lower volume approach and a much lower frequency approach, right? So like you said earlier, our clients are really, I don't think we're training anybody 3 times a week now. So people are either training twice a week or once a week, right? And only for 30 minutes each workout, and typically only doing 1 set per exercise. So if you're used to doing, 3 to 5 sets of bench press for 8 to 12 reps, you're going to go from that to actually now doing generally just 1 set of bench press. And instead of stopping at an arbitrary number of repetitions, you're just going to work until your muscles fatigue to the point where you can't lift the weight anymore. That's called concentric muscular failure. And that's the science that Liam is talking about, right? That is what we see in the research over and over and over again, is that in order to stimulate muscular strength, increases in both hypertrophy and muscular strength, what we need to do is train to concentric failure. And once we've done that 1 time, we don't need to do it any other time. So this is one of the ideas that first got the light bulb to go off in my head. Is Liam has this great analogy, which is the elevator button, right? And so what happens when people go into an elevator lobby, right, is they hit the button and it lights up, and the elevator's headed down. But then we get impatient. We just hit the button over and over and over, right? And you might hit it like 10 times, because you're impatient, right? And people do the same thing in the gym, where they go in Monday, it's International Chest Day, right? And they're like, all right, I'm doing my 5 sets of chest today. And you could do that and it can work, right? But you might be doing way too much unnecessary work. Whereas if you have a spotter or you have a good machine that you can work safely on to muscular failure, you go in, you do 1 set as hard as you can. Henneman's size principle says, as long as you work as hard as you can, you're recruiting as much muscle as possible, and all that extra work is unnecessary. So that's what we do, is we help people get the same, if not better, results in much less time.
Great.
Yeah, the other side of that, obviously, is, and the missing piece for many people, is that the work, something you've heard by now, and everyone who works with us here, is that the workout, remember, doesn't produce the result, right? The result is manifested during the recovery process, which means while we're resting. And so the mistake that people make is they keep, again, trying to push the button, to use the elevator analogy that Jesse just used. And it's not going to make the elevator show up any sooner, right? Once that button's on, we know the elevator on its way, and it's going to take as long as it takes. So once we've done that set to fatigue, now we've stimulated, now we have to get out of the way and let the process manifest. And not only do we need to recover from the workout, but we have to actually, what they call, super compensate. So recovery is just getting back to where you started. And now the actual growth, when you get something new, is what we call super compensation. It's going actually, imagine digging a hole in your backyard and then filling that hole back to exactly where you started. That's the idea of working out over and over again. People dig the hole, fill it in, dig the hole, fill it in. But super compensation is that you have extra dirt and you put more, and now you've created that mound of new stuff on top, right? That's what we're after. I just made that one up right now. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to super compensate, and that happens only while you're resting. So you work hard and you get out of the way, and you let your body produce the result that you're after.
Great. And, I loved your story there about how you really kind of have this mastermind community of the top trainers around the world that and you work with and you compare insights with. I love the other anecdote you had about that bodybuilder who's an impressive former champion who actually didn't find out about some of these techniques until later in his career. And he said, yeah, I wish I knew that 10 or 15 years ago. It would have, given me that, quantum leap, so to speak, in results. So, and I think that's been one of the most things I've loved the most about training with you is all this knowledge that you constantly impart on me about these different things that has just really revolutionized how I think about fitness. And of course, I still have a lot more work to do in terms of some of the weight loss things, but I kind of know how to get there. I just have to do it. The strength is kind of taken care of, so to speak. Could you just tell us a little bit about some of the results that you see from your clients? I know that really varies, but I know you've had some folks on the podcast, you posted some pictures, but what do you usually see from new clients, so to speak?
You want to take that?
Yeah. Well, it really depends on your starting point. We pride ourselves on meeting people where they are, right? So where a person is on day one could be zero experience lifting weights in their life, or on day one, it could be, they're a professional athlete who has been, had a professional strength coach coaching them in their workouts, from high school through college and up through, into the professional level. So really, in general, we say that it takes about, 4 to 6 weeks to start feeling a tangible result from your strength training. And at that point, for our kind of like general population clients, they mention all kinds of stuff. So they might mention, I reached up to the top, shelf in the kitchen and it was way easier than it used to be. Or I tripped and where I used to fall down and hurt myself, I didn't even fall this time. Or, all kinds of different stuff that, strength improvements manifest in very unique and individual ways. And then when we're working with athletes, I mean, we were just talking yesterday about a couple high school baseball players that I've coached, and over the course of a couple of years coaching them, I saw, one of them, progress from, basically being a bench player to being, the starting shortstop for his high school team. He turned into a home run hitter. He was batting, 500. And ended up, playing for Brown University. So playing at the college level, and the other kids, he wasn't even playing on the varsity team. He turned into the starting catcher and the cleanup hitters, hitting home runs, and he's playing at the college level now too. So, strength is a quality that has the ability to transform your life for the better. And I didn't even mention any of the, prevention of chronic disease that it can play into that, maybe Liam will tell us about.
The other thing that is, so for the people that kind of want those numbers, right? They want to hear that data. The average person that comes in and follows our instructions will expect to gain 3 to 5 pounds of muscle and lose 10 or 12 pounds of fat in like the first 8 to 12 weeks. That's normal, kind of average. 90 days, and you could, and that's like an extreme transformation visually, aesthetically, right? 10 pounds of fat is gone, and 3 to 5 pounds of muscle has come in place. Not only will you feel better, perform better, you're going to look different. Things will change, And that's just average. Obviously, there's extreme people. So they're like the most extremes I've seen people gain, 20 pounds in, just a matter of a couple of months. That's on one end of the spectrum,
Hopefully that's muscle.
Yeah, muscle. Again, there's no universal, right? Because humans are expressed on this broad continuum of genetic, predisposition and so forth. But on average, we can expect those kind of numbers. And those are good, impressive things. From strength, it's not unusual for Jesse and I to find our clients increasing their strength from their starting place of 60, 80, 100, sometimes 200 or 300% in certain exercises over the first few months. It's dramatic. I've had elite athletes, like when I was working with the short track speed skaters, a lot of them, they were speed skaters, but they hadn't done any actually organized strength training specifically. They just always worked on technical preparation, body weight exercises, things that they perceived to be important for their sport. But they hadn't done just in the gym strength. After putting them on a basic strength training program across the board, their strength was going up like 80, 90% in as little as 6 weeks. It was impressive. And these are athletic guys and gals.
And just to tack one more thing on there, Dave, Liam and I both love to work with older folks. More than half of our clients are over 40, maybe even over 50 now. We have to go back and dig through. But it's so rewarding working with older folks, because what you find with older adults is that when people have gotten older, many people haven't taken great care of their body. So they're dealing with, some dysfunction. And so you see people, they get DEXA scans that come back, and they're, they can start to see that frailty is setting in. And when you take a person that has a long way to come up and you strength train them, their quality of life can increase dramatically. And I have an example of that. I was training I just trained her very briefly, right? A 75-year-old woman. She actually this is in a previous gym. But she kind of grabbed me and she said, "Hey, will you watch me do an exercise?" And so I watched her, and she said, "Did I do that correctly?" And I said, "No, but I can teach you." And so she signed up for a month of training with me, right? So we did 4 training sessions over the course of that month, and she was hungry, right? She could only do it for a month, but she was listening intently to what I told her, and she was executing on it. So she worked very hard in those. That's 2 hours of strength training, right? That's 4 sessions is only 2 hours of strength training over the course of a month. This woman's 75 years old, and we used an in-body scanner to measure her body composition, so we could see body fat and we could see muscle. So this 75-year-old gained 5 pounds of muscle in 1 month in 4 workouts and only 2 hours of lifting weights, right? And actually, if we go back and look through her workouts, I think we were only doing 5 exercises, so 5 sets per workout. So it's just going back to that idea of like bang for your buck, right? It's really not about how much work you do, but how intensely you do it and how well you're letting your body recover after the workout.
So think about that. That's about 20 sets in 1 month.
Right.
For the whole month. Whereas some people will do 20 sets per workout and then do those workouts 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
Right. So think about the time difference. Again, so much saved time. Jesse and I have the luxury now, because of our studio, we're doing our workouts unimpeded. We're no longer stuck in the constraints of that public, gym where people can do whatever they want, or there's hundreds of people just floating around. And our personal workouts right now are averaging like under 15 minutes for a full body workout. Yeah, that's extremely challenging.
Wow, that's great. And I know you were just getting rid of was it a solo plex or something? I didn't really know that really you could get that amazing of a workout in 15 minutes, but I believe it now after working with you guys. But that's almost something beyond being able to fathom unless you've actually tried some of this stuff, that if you really know what you're doing, 20 sets a month, so to speak, doing it the right way versus hundreds and hundreds of sets doing it the wrong way, you can get better results from that 20 sets and the hundreds of other sets and hours and hours and hours.
Right. Yeah, like Liam said earlier, the worst case scenario in a strength training environment is that you get hurt, right? For an athlete or any regular person. The second worst case scenario is that you're wasting tons of time, which if you've lifted weights before, chances are you have. Liam and I both talk about this all the time. How, if only we could get that time back. We used to spend 10 or 12 hours, a week in the gym, and we're just so grateful now. It only takes under an hour. And but the best case scenario that most people are barely just getting at the tip of the iceberg of is that strength increases can be massive. Our goal for our clients is to figure out what their genetic potential is and get there as quickly as possible. Right? Everyone has a finite genetic potential. It's different for every single person. My genetic potential is going to be, I don't know, I think I'm pretty close to it right now. I'm just trying to stay right there as long as I can, hopefully until the day I die. And, for another person, they're going to look like an NFL linebacker. So, for whatever that potential is, we want to help people tap into it and stay there for as long as possible.
Yeah, that reminds me, I got to complete my fitness assessment that I've been need to do. I just need to be able to log in. And I do remember the first month or two working with you guys was hugely eye-opening, and you see such rapid results. So I think that's an exciting thing that people can look forward to. If they sign up, they're going to see immediate results within a few weeks. So I did want to just switch gears. I really see you guys as model business owners in a lot of ways, especially Liam's had a lot of this knowledge for years and years, but I see Jesse is such a facilitator and a studier of great business practices as well, for somebody who's just kind of jumped in and hit the ground running with Liam. And I think this podcast has been a big part of that. Could you just tell us about your podcast and what you've learned from that, and if that's helped you build your business, so to speak?
Go ahead.
Oh man, DK, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I guess I'll just say, especially as our the brick and mortar opening has been such a milestone for us. It's really caused me to do a lot of reflection. And so, I mean, number one, I'm grateful for Liam, and I just think what an amazing stroke of luck it was to meet him just totally by chance, and how lucky it was to get hired in the same gym. Our podcast started out as really just kind of a conversation that he and I were having, and then we literally just had the thought, hey, let's record this on our phone. So when you can literally go back and listen to our first episodes, those were recorded on my iPhone, and we got a little bit more professional with it, and now we're working with a sound engineer, and it's we've scaled up a bit, but it's such an amazing resource. I mean, even now we're looking into advertising and monetizing and that sort of thing. We're 3 years in, but even money aside, it's been an incredible learning tool. And I mean, to be able to, like Liam said earlier, at the touch of a button, be in contact with some of the eminent thought leaders in the world on strength training. It really is an incredible privilege. And I mean, I know for a fact that having been in close contact with Liam and in close contact with our podcast network, I know my career has been accelerated exponentially. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where I would be if I hadn't had that resource available to me, but I'm just grateful that I have.
It's something I like to refer to as a quantum leap, and you guys definitely embody that in a lot of ways in both your business, but your workout practices. Since we do have a bit of time left, I'm going to ask you a bonus question here, and just in terms of, you just opened the brick and mortar location, you've been doing the online fitness training, but what's next for you guys? What do you see? What would you like to achieve over the next year, maybe over the next 5 years?
There's a lot of things. This is something we work on, this stuff continuously behind the scenes. I use those words a lot because we do. I mean, we've been having these meetings weekly for several years now. I mean, this is something we've been working on, to have the brick and mortar, for it to come to fruition is fantastic, and it's just beginning. So, I mean, in the near future, we're hoping to bring on, some trainers and help grow like the next generation of high intensity training specialists, right? People that will be able to create them in our own image, if you will, and help educate them as to how to train people in our methods, using the stuff that we know is safe and efficient and effective, and keep them from going down the roads that we went down, wasting time, just wasting time gathering information that's not useful, potentially even dangerous. So that's one part of it. But as a business, we want to grow. Who knows? The sky's the limit, honestly. Whether we have an empire that's takes over and basically we devour all other training facilities in the world. And soon there's only one.
Yeah. I think we have a goal of building to $1 million in revenue in a few years, and so that's on the table. The route that we take to get there could be different depending on how things unfold with different economic factors, with our business growth, and I think also that COVID in 2020 was a huge eye opener for our industry. And for us, we had to pivot our business 100% online and train people virtually. And now, I mean, we're actually we're going to maintain that as an element of our business, as a hybrid model. And, we're in Oakland, California, but we have a Hawaii client, and we have an LA client, and we have a DC client. And so we are exploring those options, and we're also having conversations about putting out more online content, and specifically a video module course, because just the world market is it's a big market, so there are a lot of opportunities out there.
Yeah, we're also potentially partnering with some other industry leaders as far as content development and so forth. So those are some projects that are kind of, again, going on behind the scenes. And so we have a lot of things that we feel we can do. And, we're really only limited by our own imaginations and our ability to turn it into, real world successes. So there's nothing that we really can't do, I think. And we have a good chemistry and a good partnership and, a good balance, the things that we bring together to the table.
Boom, baby.
Excellent. Boom, baby. Well, what you guys have is, some of the best knowledge in all of the world on fitness. And I think you really see that in some of your testimonials. I'll just read one here, and then I'm going to end with one more question for you guys that we like to do with industry leader. This is from the junior middleweight boxing champion of the world for women's boxing. He wanted to thank Liam for all he taught her during her reign. The knowledge of strength and speed training were instrumental in helping her acquire and maintain her world champion status and titles. The various techniques you showed her changed the way she did things. She became stronger, quicker, had much more stamina. Anyone who crosses your path should deem themselves fortunate to have learned from an expert such as you. Thanks for all you did. And Gina Boom Boom
Guidi,
sorry if I mispronounced the name, who had 4 boxing titles. So that's just one of the.
She was an incredible athlete. Probably I was one of the most talented athletes I've ever been lucky enough to work with. Right here in the Bay Area. She's from the Bay Area. She was at the time the multi-world champion. Just think of somebody like Oscar De La Hoya. She had like 4 belts. I think she was a combined champion with all the different leagues. She had a really outstanding career, and she was not just a talented woman, but just a talented athlete. She trained at King's Gym in Oakland, which is a hardcore, old school, down and dirty boxing gym. She trained 99% of the time with all male partners. She was super tough, super talented. And honestly, it's just a sad thing in the sense that because of being a woman, and at the time, again, this was a while back, they just weren't getting the attention. You can imagine she was the equivalent of like a Mike Tyson or an Evander Holyfield, and she was the multi-world champion, and she was making, $5,000 to win a fight, where these guys are, like a Holyfield, but they'd make $10 million to lose a fight. You know what I mean? The disparity was horrific, the lack of attention. But as an athlete specifically, one of the best I've ever been lucky enough to work with.
Great. And I believe you also worked with Forrest Griffin, the UFC fighter. I believe he was a champion at one point in the UFC when he was on his way up, so to speak.
Yeah, I was a consultant to his coaches. He and I worked together in person a couple of times, but I was mostly consulting at that point with them. And this was he had already turned professional, but he hadn't been on the television show yet, the Ultimate Fighter, which is kind of where he first got noticed. But yeah, he's also an awesome guy. And his coaches were a couple of guys, Singer brothers from Atlanta, Georgia, I believe. They had a place called the Hardcore Gym. And I was invited to speak at a training camp in Oregon for the Straight Blast Gym, which people would know if anybody pays attention. Guys like Conor McGregor, who a lot of people know that name, he's also part of the Straight Blast Gym. So they hosted some training camps, and I was invited several times to speak at those camps, and that's where I got a chance to meet Forrest and work with him, and then collaborate with his coaches to help design some of his earlier training programs and kind of point them in the right direction. But I certainly can't take full credit, because he didn't, unfortunately, stay with me as long as he should have. He probably would have had a better career if he did.
I hear you. Well, we just are about at time, and I just wanted to end with a question about who you guys are looking to work with in terms of who is your ideal client out there, if somebody's watching, and who's kind of the folks who you're looking for.
Yeah, it's you, DK. It's busy moms and dads. It's people who want want to make their health a priority, and who need to get it done efficiently. So that's what we help people do. We help you stay in great shape in 2 30-minute workouts a week, and we'll keep you safe while you're doing it.
Yeah, the advantage too, if you can come live, obviously we have the best equipment around. We have unique equipment that allows us to deliver an extremely efficient and effective load. But the other advantage is that we have the ability to train people with any tool that they can possibly imagine. So if you're in the home situation and the virtual thing is your only option, it literally doesn't matter whether you have a nice fully loaded home gym or all you have is your own body weight. We can help you train effectively and efficiently and get the most out of that time.
Excellent. Well, guys, thanks for coming on and telling your story. And I have my part of my 6-year-old here who Liam sees when we train together. She wanted to help close us out. And okay, Carrie.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
See you, Carrie.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Look forward to keeping in touch and seeing you soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you, DK.
We're looking forward to having you show your face inside TNT HQ.
Great. I look forward to it. I'll see you.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.